Okay, so the last demo, when we introduced this fantasy landscape project, I was just pulling references for things like ruins and forests and caves. And I added a lot more reference because as long as it was 10 megapixels or larger, you know, this was the first picture I found that I thought was really cool. But the problem with it is it's all so dark that it would make me rely too much on one photo, right? If this is the only area of things in focus, then I would be treating it more like a sticker page, and I would be adding other things just in this area. And that's relying too much on one image. So instead of just finding reference and then getting started, I wanted you to sketch. So I did this quick Photoshop sketch showing how I would piece together certain references into a landscape format image and then a portrait format image. But this actually just introduced me to it and to this challenge, which I didn't think all that much about, but I'm now committed to it. And so when I got more reference, I was able to do a better sketch. And I ended up doing that in my sketchbook so that I could look at all of my sketches or all of my references all in one place, like so. And then what I did is I actually labeled and marked the ones I like most. So I have basically 10 different references. They're the ones that are numbered and marked green that will be useful. And I have them all sketched out. So once you've done that, and 10 is a good number, that's plenty. And there's other things you might really like, but they just don't fit into your vision. Then what you do is you make your sketch as accurately as you can, and then I'm going to show you here how you photograph your sketch to be able to use it in your computer. Of course, you could scan it with a scanner, but we don't need this preparatory sketch to be that high resolution. So instead, we're just going to use that FaceTime application just for its camera, and we're going to do a screen grab from it. So we make it as large as we can. We hold down Command-Shift-4 to do a targeted screen grab. We draw the box we want to photograph, and then we're going to just hold up our sketch, both the horizontal and the vertical, and fit it into the camera. Then we let go. And it takes, you know, a screen resolution, low-res picture, especially low-res in my case because I'm in shadow doing this, and then saves it directly to the desktop. Double-click it, it will open up in preview. And this is much simpler than Photoshop. We're just going to rotate it. But you'll notice because it's FaceTime, it's reversed. It's a mirror image. So then we go to Tools, and we're going to flip horizontal so that my writing makes sense. Okay? Now, this is just an introduction, and I want you all to do this with your sketch because these are the tools we're going to be learning in more advanced ways in Photoshop. In order to make it clearer and to play with the color and play with the contrast, we're going to go to Tools within Preview and say Adjust Color. And we get this nice little adjustment window. And I can say Auto Levels and see what it does, but then I can also play with these level adjustments and darken the midtones a little bit, brighten the highlights a little. I don't need it to look good, but I need it to be readable. And then the other, so that's fixing the lighting. And then the other thing we need to do is work with the color. This pink is really annoying, so I'm going to change the temperature away from that magenta. And I'm also just going to desaturate it a little bit. So we're lining up the red, green, and blue lights to get our own color temperature that's more full spectrum. So about there. And then lastly, this is the only tool that I will use sharpen features in. all sharpen features do is it sharpens the contrast between pixels, so you can see it very clearly here. And it looks like an old dot matrix print. But it does make it easier to read from a distance. Now that doesn't make for good printing, and that's why I'll never use sharpen tools within Photoshop, because it's not a real thing. But it helps when you're doing preparatory sketches. So now that that's done, here's the one thing in this new version of Preview you have to be careful of. It automatically will save once I close it. So if I wanted to save this as something else, to keep my original photo and this photo, I would need to say File, Export as a different name. But if I just close it, it will automatically save those changes because it's made to be a very quick program. So now I have this sketch, easy to see. That's going to be the first thing I upload. And if I want to clean it up a little bit, I could crop it, right? I could open it with Photoshop and just get rid of my hand there. But this is what I want to see as the first entry in assignment 1 in PhotoBucket from you, your sketch, which shows your intention. So my setting is caves, ruins, forest, galaxy far, far away. So I don't need to match any existing reality. I have a taller than wide portrait format solution here, and I have a wider than tall landscape solution here. I have them numbered, and they're based on these elements. So that's step 1. To upload it to PhotoBucket, I would simply save it as an online format, either a JPEG or a PNG, and remember to label it with my name. Assignment 1 sketch. So that's what I'm going to come around and help you guys do. If you already have your sketches, we're just photographing them and putting them on the computer because we're going to be using them more. And then the next phase is getting them onto PhotoBucket. The benefit of doing that is that you're already acknowledging the deadline. Even though this isn't due until next class, by having something in there that you're going to label with your name, you know you're safe. You can work on it without stress and get it started. So you would load your sketch right into here, this Fantasy Landscape Assignment 1 folder. I'm going to put it into the instructor demonstration, where you can see my past demos. I even have a little video demonstration just on compositing in general, should you want to see that. Okay, so that's what I'm working with. And then of course you're going to title it with your name. And I would just do the number 1 because that will be the first thing that shows up for this assignment for you. All right, now here's the goal. We took all this time looking for high resolution resources, 10 megapixels or bigger, which means when we open them and we zoom in, it should take a long time for us to actually see individual pixels. So now I can see the pixels. So if I actually view it within Preview, what's called actual size, that will make the pixel count in the photo match the screen resolution. And for it to be printable, 10 megapixels or bigger, it cannot all fit at the screen at the same time. I can even see the trash on the ground, the plastic bag. I can see the carvings. And even though it's a little bit of a motion blur in the photo, this is a nice high quality resolution. And this is from, I believe it's a Cambodian temple called Angkor Wat that I ended up using a lot of. And I'm guessing now that I've researched it, I'm going to see it in almost every movie that does these kind of things. Okay, but why do we use such high resolution? Well, it's not so that we can make them match a sketch that's very low screen resolution. So now I have to pick, do I want to do my landscape view or do I want to do my portrait format? And honestly, I'm just a little bit more interested in my landscape view because that's like down in the jungle. even though I won't see as much of the background. So what do? I'm going to crop around it, loosely around it, using that cropping tool. Like so. And I can even angle it if my sketch isn't perfectly lined up. So give yourself a little space, but not too much space. Then hit return. Remember, you've already saved the sketch. It's already been uploaded, so now we can manipulate it. Now I'm going to make this sketch, which is already a low resolution, into the printable size I want my final project to be. This is like my blueprint that I'm going to put my puzzle pieces onto. So I need to make it much bigger. And I do that by going to Image, Image Size, and taking it from only screen resolution, which is 72 pixels per inch. Make sure resample is checked and that the width and height are locked together. And I'm going to change it to 350 pixels per inch resolution. That's our preferred resolution standard for this lab. The professional standard is 300 pixels per inch. We go a little bit above that in this lab, so if at the last minute we want to enlarge it, it will still print really well. And then in terms of the physical size at 350 pixels per inch, I want to go bigger than 3 by 6 inches, which is what my sketch was. I want to go to the full size that I can print in this lab, which is 13 by 19 inches. So my width is going to be 19 inches, which makes my height 11. Now if I typed in 19 here and that made my width something like 15, then I would need to shrink the height to fit within 19 by 13. But this, the width is its limiting factor. So as long as it fits within 13 by 19 and is a resolution of 350, that's kind of the highest quality we'll ever need to use in this classroom. Then I say OK. Now watch what it does to my sketch. Makes it really, really blurry, and that's the first lesson. We need to use high resolution reference because when we force the computer to make up information, it doesn't do a good job. Computer is not good at making up information. All it does is it takes the existing pixels and just creates a lot of duplicates around it. So that it's like a little echo chamber. But I can still read my sketch just fine. The difference is now when I bring my high resolution reference onto the sketch, it will be nice and sharp and I'll know where it should go. Just like when we were mapping our shapes for our vector project, I'll know how to manipulate it and put it into place. All right, so we're moving through this pretty quickly. After this demo is done, I will help you set it up this way. So it's at the right resolution and your sketch is in the computer. And I also have it in my sketchbook so I can see my writing about what references go where. But now there's another step I need to do. I need to have working space around my piece. Just like if I was going to make a collage, this is my blueprint, but I need space to lay out all my different cutouts. So what I'm going to do now is go to Image, Canvas Size, and grow the paper around my 19 by 11 inch full 350 resolution image. And so I'm going to go big here, make my width about 40 inches, make my height about 30 inches. Extend it from all sides so that I have this space. And now I can start bringing in my different features, just dragging and dropping them on. And moving them around the corners. So our first goal for the first half of class is getting all of our references together with our sketch into one Photoshop file to work with. And this one is such high resolution, it's bigger than I need it to be. So now I can use Command T like we did on the cartoon jumble and shrink it more to where I want it, because I want this to be in the background. Maybe a little bit bigger than I need for right now. That one's bigger than I need it to be. I need it to be about that size.